Welcome to paradise, a tiny island.
The non-normal is normal down here.
With big personality.
And we have happy hours here that start at 7 a.m.
Especially when the sun sets.
This is my dream come true. Hey, boys.
An escape from reality that for some visitors means shedding 4 wheels for just 2.
People look at it as a toy, and you fall at 30 miles an hour, you die.
This woman became a statistic.
She's injured, but could have been a lot worse.
Crashing her scooter in a parking lot just minutes before we arrived.
My leg hurts so bad.
Her ride ended with a trip to the hospital. It doesn't take much to rent one of these. All you need is a driver's license, a credit card, and be 18 years old.
People don't pay attention.
Key West resident Eric Walzer knows the routine.
And they're cut loose in the tight streets of Key West.
Getting around in paradise has its price. CBS 12 Investigates uncovered nearly a crash a day over the last 3 years involving scooters. According to documents we obtained, 940 people crashed, of which nearly 700 were hurt and 6 died. That all happening on an island just 4.2 square miles.
Dave Hyde has been a reporter in South Florida now for about 25 years. His next assignment is one he never imagined.
Since I've never traveled with a gun, I'm a little, nervous isn't the word, but I'm a little uncertain of how it's all going to go.
Determined to break no laws, Dave worked to take a handgun across the country.
My concern was just having a working knowledge of the law.
So he looked up TSA and airline requirements online, making sure his gun was unloaded and padlocked in a hard case along with ammunition to meet regulations.
My dream trip would be that I have absolutely no issues.
Then he headed out, flying 5 different airlines through 5 different states. He flew American from Fort Lauderdale to Chicago, then took United to Las Vegas, then Southwest to Atlanta, then Delta to Orlando, and then Silver Airlines back to Fort Lauderdale. Every time Dave checked in at a new airport, he declared his unloaded firearm and the TSA inspected it.
A toddler dies in a house fire in Pennsylvania after a hoverboard bursts into flames.
All of a sudden it started to pop and explode.
A laptop catches fire in New York, leaving the owner scarred from chemical burns.
It actually melted the linoleum and the floor area.
And a cell phone explodes in a 10-year-old's pocket while at school here in Florida. All blamed on rechargeable batteries.
It was like a fire extinguisher being shot in my face.
21-year-old Evan Spallinger from Florida suffered third-degree burns and spent a week in the intensive care unit. Evan was badly burned by an exploding rechargeable battery from an e-cigarette.
I sort of was gasping for air. Everything I spit out was just black, like I was spitting out blood, but it was just black.
But Evan's horror story is just one of many. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, there have been 49 different recalls of lithium-ion batteries since 2012. That totals more than 4.2 million products pulled.
The heat is allowed to build up in this.
Boca Raton Fire Inspector Bob Lemons knows exactly what goes wrong with these batteries.
A battery is essentially turning a chemical reaction into electrical energy. That heat has no place to go. So it builds up, and then what can happen is you end up with a phenomenon called thermal runaway.
And the results can be deadly. There have been at least 8 deaths reported worldwide due to battery fires or explosions.
Each key is therapy. Each note fine-tunes an orchestrated path to healing.
My first seizure, I was 20 minutes old.
After decades of seizures.
Those pills keep you alive.
They do. My life literally depends on these medications.
Prescription pills, and lots of them.
And if I didn't have these medications, I would have nonstop seizures all day, every day.
Medications that are getting more expensive by the day. The Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, reported between 2008 and 2015 a whopping 164% price increase for brand name drugs. Amanda's have gone up as much as 26% in just over a year, according to data from Medicaid.gov. So why the increases? And how are drug companies allowed to keep raising prices?
What have you done to try to reduce the cost of prescription drugs? Well, several things.
We tracked down U.S. Senator Bill Nelson to ask him why Congress isn't doing anything to stop it. The Florida Democrat says he's written amendments and bills to allow the federal government to negotiate drug prices, but none of them became law. And that's costing taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars, according to the senator.
So you're saying Americans are paying more for prescription drugs because of politics? Precisely.
I love the water. It's super clear. The blue is like nothing I've ever seen before.
It's a hot spot for fun in the sun. But there's trouble under these waters after a barge washed ashore last April.
It's a whole little ecosystem there.
Florida's Department of Environmental Protection released these images showing abrasions, damage, and injured areas on the near-shore reef in the waters off of Singer Island. The damaged area is approximately 5.2 square meters, or roughly 15 square feet, according to an assessment survey prepared for the state. Sky Team 12 shot this exclusive video of the 144-foot Baymaster grounded after it broke free from a tugboat in rough seas near the Lake Worth Inlet.
911, what is the address of your emergency? I'm in a car in a lake.
Desperate for help, 31-year-old Chanel Anderson used her cell phone to call 911.
Where are you? What lake?
Anderson knew her exact location, but despite the 911 operator's best efforts,
I'm losing the air very quickly.
The system couldn't accurately locate Anderson in time.
Give me the address one more time. It's not working.
Moments later, the cell phone connection was lost as Anderson, trapped in her SUV, sank to the bottom of a Georgia lake.
911, what's the address for your emergency?
A situation all too real for 911 operators across the country.
Okay, are you breathing normally?
Mario Bryant oversees the Boynton Beach 911 Communications Center.
We spend probably half the amount of time on any typical call just confirming where someone is.
It's Air Force One's weekend home in the winter when President Donald Trump visits his Mar-a-Lago estate on Palm Beach. Today, most of the school buses once used as a barrier for presidential visits are gone. Just a few remain along the airport's fence line. This weathered fence could soon be replaced with something much bigger and stronger. CBS 12 has learned a company in Tampa called TCP Security Solutions is working on plans to present to the sheriff for a fence or a wall to help further secure the area for future presidential visits. Officials at Palm Beach International Airport refuse to elaborate any further on the potential cost, who would pick up the tab, and when construction could start, only saying a request was made.
At least I know, and that's more than some people can say right now.
The state insists autopsies are to be done within 90 days. It is just one of the rules the Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's Office is finding impossible to follow. In part because the ME's office is dealing with a year that had a nearly 30% workload increase due to the spike in overdose deaths. New and different drugs causing the overdoses are creating a backlog in the toxicology testing.
And the problem is this: people don't take just one drug. So you're having to measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different drugs, because we have to look at their concentrations as to determine, hey, did that drug have the ability to kill them, or did it not?
Dr. Michael Bell is the county's ME.